Raymond Salmen was a 65-year-old white male with gray hair cut above the ears, gray mustache, and may have had a gray beard at the time of his disappearance. Raymond has blue eyes. I can't find any information as to the height or his weight. On Sunday, June 12, 2013, the Agassiz RCMP were called to an area 50 kilometers up the Harrison Forestry Service Road. The area is remote and many people camp up there. Raymond Salmen loved the area and had been camping in this area since May 28, 2013. Fellow campers called the RCMP due to shots fired and one bullet had penetrated a truck and a camper. When the officers arrived, they noticed that Ray's campsite was missing its occupant. They found Salmen's two beloved dogs in the camper, but Ray was nowhere around. They conducted a quick search of the immediate area and could not find him. Those that knew Salmen knew that he never went anywhere without his dogs. Daniela, Ray's wife, agreed. She said if he went for a hike, he would have never left his dogs locked in the camper. Ray ventured out with his truck and camper on May 28th and wasn't expected to return for a few weeks. There is no cell phone coverage in the area where he set up camp, located about 120 kilometers from his home in Kitsilano. Daniela, his wife, said that she wasn't too concerned about the initial news of his disappearance because he is a skilled outdoorsman who carries emergency equipment and can hold his own for a few days in the wilderness. He's camped all of his life, always. He's more at home in the bush, she said. The weather started to change and Daniela became more concerned. She stated that it was harder to remain positive. A full-out search began on Monday, June 13th. Agassiz Harrison Search and Rescue and an RCMP helicopter crew headed the search. On Tuesday, RCMP Corporal Len von Neuvenhausen said, "We are concerned for Mr. Salmen's safety. This is a wilderness area with no formal campsites. We are hoping that someone may have seen him." Corporal von Neuvenhausen said that there is no reason to believe that the complaint about the shots fired are connected to the mysterious disappearance. In a June 18, 2013 article from the Chilliwack Progress with headlines, "Missing Man Presumed Drowned in the Harrison Lake," stated that Ray drowned and that the focus of search efforts had shifted from rescue to recovery. In the afternoon of June 13th, RCMP Air Services saw balloons in a secluded beach approximately 400 meters north of his campsite. Ground teams found clothing and spent shell casings. Their conclusion was Salmen may have been injured, but because of cliffs and rocky outcrops, couldn't get off the beach. They theorized that he fired his gun, trying to get someone's attention. When that didn't work, he tried and failed to swim back to his camp. A search of the lake on June 14th failed to find him. Corporal von Neuvenhausen stated that this section of Harrison Lake is very deep and the water rapidly plunges to a depth of 160 meters. The depth of the lake and the sunken physical features of logs and boulders present challenges for locating Mr. Salmen. The RCMP continued on with the search. The area Ray went missing is known as Westwood Bay. The surrounding terrain is a mix of dense forest and craggy outcrops that slope down to a rocky, wind-blown shoreline, which makes the campsite all the more unique in this setting. Once a log sorting area, the site links to a forestry service road that is best managed in a four-wheel drive for the 1.5-hour trip from the highway. It's the road that Ray drove up May 27th in his Ford truck and camper. Salmen loved the outdoors, and with his two small dogs, he was looking forward to this and his chance to hike and fish. Kitsilano, his hometown, felt a world away, and that wasn't disappointing to Ray. The RCMP believe Ray went missing 13 days into his adventure. Daniela hired a couple by the name of Jean and Sandy Ralston, a retired pair from Idaho that travel around the continent with their aluminum skiff and an ROV. An ROV is a remote-operated vehicle. Their ROV is equipped with lights and dual tilting cameras and can be dropped in deep water to search around rocks and debris on the bottom of the lake. It's also equipped with a mechanical arm that can grasp a body and bring it to the surface. Daniela sought out the Ralstons and their equipment after learning that the environmental consultants recovered almost 90 bodies in 13 years from waters in North America, including two 17-year-old boys from Nicola Lake near Merritt. The couple only charges for expenses and travels in a custom-made motorhome which they use to tow their boat, the Kathy G. It is named after a drowning victim in Alaska whose body the Ralstons recovered. Daniela said that she can't say enough about them and how they have given her some hope in the recovery of Ray. She is also baffled as to why there isn't a police force search and rescue team or some type of agency in the province that could do the same job. The RCMP says that its dive team is restricted limited by regulations as to how deep they can dive, and officers are still training to operate new sonar equipment. Now let's hope things have changed for the better since 2013. Some organizations such as Kent Harrison Search and Rescue have a sonar, but its capabilities are limited and the team's volunteer members are not experts on how to use it. Let's hope that also has changed since 2013. Daniela stated, "The government should be embarrassed, incredibly embarrassed," from an interview in her home in Kitsilano, but nobody wants to take responsibility because then they are going to own the whole problem. Not just for Ray, but for all future victims. The Mounties believe that Salmen drowned sometime after going on a hike up in the bush above his campsite and injuring himself. Somehow, the mishap left him trapped on a small beach wedged along the shore's steep terrain. He was roughly 400 meters north of his campsite. Unable to climb out, he took off his boots, socks, pants, and likely tried to swim around a rocky bluff to another clearing, but slipped under the surface of the water. Whether he fell off a cliff or climbed down, we don't know, said Corporal Van Neusenhausen. Before Ray entered the water, police believe he was in such distress that he used his rifle to fire off the 6 shots. His younger brother Bob, a fellow hunter, said it is common for Ray to carry a gun into the wilderness in case of a run-in with a bear or another wild animal. One of the bullets smashed the headlight of a Nissan Pathfinder some 500 meters away and directly in the sight of a small beach. Another 2 shots struck the side of a camper in a neighboring campsite. The number of shots, 3, is a sign that the person is in distress. A hunter understands this as a signal of trouble, but most campers wouldn't understand this. Police have pieced the scenario together after finding Ray's backpack in the bush and his shoes, socks, pants, rifle, and shell casings on the small beach. His knife and his belt, which police speculate were used as a tourniquet, are still missing. Police got involved after campers from the shot-up vehicles reported the gunfire in the late afternoon on Sunday, June 9th. They thought someone was trying to kill them. At the onset, police didn't know exactly what type of situation they were dealing with. As they collected evidence, including the recovery of the 2 dogs inside the Salmen's camper, police realized the focus was a missing person. That led to a massive hunt for Salmen, with search and rescue teams on boats and foot, members of the RCMP's tactical troop, dog handlers, and a dive team. RCMP Corporal Dwayne Farland said that they have been emotionally involved since the very beginning. Personally, they want to give closure to Daniela and the family. The police ruled out foul play, but Ray's brother Otto wasn't so sure. He visited the campsite and mulled over the scenarios when they received the news. "Ray has run into some strange people here," said Otto. "A few years ago, people were shooting semi-automatic rifles up here and they threatened to take his boat and everything else. He ended up staying in the bush all night with his gun. After the lake was thoroughly searched, nothing was found. To date, nothing has ever turned up. Raymond Salmen is still missing. The RCMP believe Ray drowned, but others speculate something more nefarious." Gene and his wife, Sandy Ralston, have been to BC many times over the years to recover bodies. He and his wife have lost count of the amount of times they have been called to the province by grieving families. Like Daniela, he doesn't understand why the province doesn't have a system, team, or protocol in place to recover bodies from BC waters. He emphasized obtaining equipment is one thing, having the proper training is another. Skill is desperately needed in Canada. "It's unfortunate," he said. "I've always said that if you want to get rid of somebody, take them on a fishing trip to Canada, because there is no follow-up once a body goes into the water." If anyone listening to this knows if the province of BC has improved its search and rescue of drowning victims in bodies of water, please comment below. Also, if anyone has any information as to the whereabouts of Raymond Salmen, please contact the Agassiz RCMP at 604-796-2211, or to remain anonymous, call Crime Stoppers at 1-800-222-8477.